Now for our story.
Yes, darling, much better. I know I was foolish the other day. I got excited, and it looked as if we were going to fail after all. Oh, don't worry, Brett. I've got everything under control now. I know what to do. Oh, here comes Ben now. I'll call you later.
Jessie Calvert hung up the phone, turned to face her husband as he approached her down the hallway of their luxurious home on 11th Street. She noticed with satisfaction that Ben walked rather wearily. He was getting old, Jessie thought. Aging. If only... But then she pressed that thought back for the time being. Ben was looking at her curiously. He asked,
"Who are you talking to, Jessie?"
Just now? Oh, Mrs. Swanson rang up. Something about the funds for the high school swimming pool.
Again? I paid them $100 last week. They'll tell me they want more.
Oh, no. No, she's just feeling chatty, I guess. Says they ought to begin building any time, though.
They'd better. It's to be ready by summer.
Yes. Let's go in the living room, Ben. I'll make you a drink.
Just pour me a glass of sherry, Jessie. I'm off my feed today.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. I wonder what's the matter. Maybe you've been working too hard. Here you are, darling.
Thanks. No, Jessie. It isn't physical.
No?
Just one of those days when everything turns to ashes in my mouth.
Oh, that's too bad, Ben.
Sometimes I wonder why I ever stayed in Wakefield to begin with. Could have gone away when I was young. Settled in some big city. Really had scope to develop in. As it is...
As it is, Ben, you own practically half of the town.
That's small comfort.
You're a powerful man. In a lot of ways, your word means more than the mayor's, Ben, or anyone else's. That ought to be some satisfaction to you.
Not anymore, Jessie. It did, of course, when I was younger. When I was still trying to get somewhere.
And now you're there. I think I know how you feel, Ben. As if you'd reached a point where there's no place to go. And yet, every once in a while, you do take another step forward. Look at this present angle. Getting a hold of Henry Swanson's shares at the bank. Now, except for your brother-in-law, you're the principal stockholder.
I have you to thank for that idea, Jessie.
Oh, glad you finally realized that I do want to help you.
Yes, you've got a good business head, my dear.
Thank you, Ben. It's nice to know and appreciate it. If you'd only listen to me more often, for instance, right now, I think I know what's bothering you.
What do you mean?
Well, I heard you talking on the telephone this morning. You called the sanitarium, didn't you?
I wanted to find out about Kit.
Yes, I know, Ben. And they refused to give you any information.
They always do that in hospitals when the news isn't good.
Not necessarily, Ben. Especially in this case. I don't think it means a thing.
But, Jessie, if Kit were improved, I'm sure they'd tell me.
That doesn't necessarily follow, considering the circumstances. Heaven knows what she's told that psychiatrist, Ben. It's probably made you out a regular monster.
Yes, I believe she has. The one time I went over to talk to Dr. Larrabee, he was none too cordial.
Well, then he's more of a fool than I expected. If he puts any stock in the vindictive talk of a spoiled girl like your daughter. Look, Ben, I don't believe Kit's as ill as they're pretending.
But, Jessie, what possible reason would they have for making her out to be worse off than she really is?
Well, they might have some very important reason.
I can't imagine what they could be. Good heavens, Jessie, I should think Larrabee would be more likely to exaggerate on the affirmative side. It's to his credit if he manages to cure her.
Well, he may have excellent reasons for wanting to delay her cure, at least for a while. David Bowman might have something to do with it.
David? You know very well David's the one who put Kit there in the first place. You know how I feel about him, but even I'd hesitate to say David wasn't honestly anxious for Kit to recover.
Well, he may want her to recover in due time. You know, I talked to him the other day. Yesterday it was.
You didn't mention it.
Well, I haven't had a chance until now. Anyway, his story is that she's getting along swimmingly.
Really? He said she was doing well?
Oh, my, yes. He painted a very optimistic picture.
I imagine he keeps in close touch with the sanitarium. He and Larrabee are probably hand in glove.
Very likely. It's my opinion that's the whole secret of why the doctor isn't giving out any information. Don't you see why, then? The minute Kit recovers, she's liable for the perjury charge. Naturally, David wouldn't want that to happen. For Kit to go to prison.
Neither would I.
Well, then, in a sense, it's either your skin or Kit's.
What makes you say that?
Simple as ABC. You may think people in Wakefield have forgotten the custody suit. Forgotten how Kit got up on that stand and lied about Lisa Fenner's child. But believe me, they haven't. And they're all sure you were in on it. They may be civil to your face, but behind your back they're still laughing at you.
Fools.
And from the standpoint of most people in Wakefield, you're just as guilty as Kit is.
The half-witted, stupid fools.
Calling them names won't put things straight. There's only one thing that would, then.
What's that?
If Kit were brought to trial. If that happened, it would come out then that what she did was entirely on her own. That you were taken in just the way everyone else was. Why, people would sympathize with you instead of laughing behind your back. They'd know you were innocent.
Maybe you're right, Jessie.
Of course I am. It's my idea that this doctor over at the sanitarium is purposely letting things ride along, possibly at David's instigation. He must be hoping the whole thing will blow over, if they stall long enough. Then Kit would be released from the sanitarium, disappear somewhere, and that would be that.
In a way, I'd like to see it happen.
No, Ben. If you let that happen, it amounts to your carrying the burden of guilt yourself for the rest of your life. People will always think you got together with your own daughter, plotted to steal another woman's child away and palm him off as your grandson. Oh, they won't come right out and say it, but that's what they'll be thinking. And you'll sense it in their attitude.
Heaven knows nobody in this town seems to respect me anymore.
Well, that's why you're depressed right now. If the truth were known. You think it's because you've been worrying about Kit. Actually, you're depressed because you're getting such a raw deal.
Well, Jessie, assuming you're right, there's not much I can do.
Oh, yes, there is, then. You don't have to sit back and take it.
What am I supposed to do? I can't shout from the housetops that my daughter tricked me.
There's a very easy way to do it. Suppose you went to Gerald Craig.
The district attorney?
Mm-hmm.
Jessie, I already did.
Yes. You went to him and tried to get him not to do anything. I knew at the time you were all wrong. But you should have let matters take their course.
Well, he wouldn't listen to me. He had ideas
He
about...
said he had his job to do and he'd have to follow through. But don't you think it's odd he hasn't done anything about it? That was quite a while ago.
Yes, it was at that. Several months.
Exactly. It looks to me as if somebody else got to him then and persuaded him to let things ride. Somebody who realizes, as I do, that once that case goes to court, people will have to take back the nasty things they've been saying about you.
Jessie, a lot of what you say is true. Still, if he did indict Kit, send her to prison, think how I'd feel. A daughter of mine, treated like a criminal.
And yet, then, that's exactly what Kit is, whether she's punished or not. Only this way, people put you in the same category. Which would you prefer? To let people go on considering you capable of such a thing? Or to show people you condemn Kit's actions as much as they do? To show them you're innocent. Make them apologize. Even if they don't come right out and admit they were wrong, you'd feel it in their attitude. And you could hold your head up again.
I admit it's been getting me down. It makes me so furious. The injustice of it. Why, I never thought for 1 minute that child wasn't Kit's own son.
Well, of course, darling. If you'd known the truth, you never would have stuck by her through the trial. Well, now's your chance to put things right again. Ben, why don't you go over and see Gerald Craig and get the machinery in motion?
Jessie Calvert was well pleased with this conversation. She felt she'd accomplished just what she intended. Ben's resentment was aroused once more against his daughter. If she could only keep this anger alive, Jessie thought, until Kit were brought to trial, sent away to prison, as he probably would be, Then, with Kit out of the way, Jessie and her former lover might complete the rest of their plan to gain control of Ben's fortune for themselves.